Welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday, Tuesday, Tuesday night. This is almost messed that up. In the Batter's Box, the NGSC Sports weekly baseball show. I am still your host, Ralph Garcia. Please remember the website. It is ngscsports.com, where you catch all of your current content. Log on right now, and Sammy Sports Base has been giving us a little bit of the Caitlin Clark issue that's somehow taken the media world by storm. I don't know why, because I can tell you from myself, I've been watching whether women's basketball or highlights of women's basketball for 5 decades. They've always been physical. They've always knocked each other around. And I just wanted to make that point real quick because it's a big topic. And the only point I wanted to make is this. I understand there's a racial issue, unfortunately. It's just that's the way the world is. She's white. White girl's gonna get hers before the others, and forget all that, okay? Here's what I want the players in the WNBA to understand, and then we move on. A couple of months ago, Caitlin Clark was in college playing in the women's NCAA tournament. At the same time, WNBA was preparing for its season, uh, and they were on commercial flights,
Right.
sitting next to me or John or Dustin, for that matter. But God, sit next to Dustin with a freaking Sprite, and you're in trouble. So
Yeah.
yeah, imagine that. Well, Caitlin Clark comes to the WNBA, and all of a sudden they're flying charter. The Fever has sold out. My wife and daughter and I, we go to several Fever games a year. We can't even go to any. 'Cause we were too late. It was so that ticket sold so fast that if you want a ticket now, you're gonna pay $1,500 for it. And we're talking about, and this is the WNBA we're talking about. Sellout. It is the effect of this freshman class as the Los Angeles Sparks of the WNBA just drew over 19,000 fans. Let's do a little comparison here. In the entire NBA season, the Los Angeles Lakers never drew 19,000 people for a game. You know what? Let's get over it. Let's give Caitlin Clark and the others their due for bringing
Yes.
this attention to the league, for making it grow. I mean, look, I've watched CNN, Fox, MSNBC, News Nation. They're all talking about the WNBA. Okay, leave it alone. It works. Okay. Also, if you log on to the website, uh, Matthew Wilder, our NFL writer, also he writes fantasy football. He gives us, does Justin Jefferson contract extension impact fantasy football? It's a really interesting read because, of course, if you ask that question, generally you're asking, how does it affect? Because this is fantasy football. I was wondering, how does a contract affect? Read it. You'll check it out. All that more in gscsports.com, where we never stop. Alejandro appears to be here somewhere,
I
except the
don't know.
street.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You got to turn the
Can't
camera on.
see.
I don't know what's wrong with the camera. Hold on.
Papi, la cámara. Papi, la
I know.
cámara. Okay, so anyway, look. One of the things, that happens in all sports. Oh no, excuse me, the guys. Duh. From Jersey. He is the host of the Enhanced Sports Show. That's Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. It's Tuesday. He's got time to get in. He's also, of course, our dear friend, co-host of In the Batter's Box, Mr. Louis Tenor. Louis!
Ralph.
And
I know.
you think I got
Yeah,
it? You think you think
Yankees.
right? No. You think I got it bad, people? Look how bad I got it. Long day. Had a lot of work to do today. The New York Yankees are playing some of the best baseball I've seen them play in a long time, right? And then I know we're going to do this show. I got to deal with Louis. You know, I love Louis, you know, but I got to look at his face knowing he's a Yankee fan. And then I get this little message on Facebook. Hey, Ralphie. Hey, Ralphie, can I join the show tonight? Another fucking Yankee fan wants to come on the show. I got to deal with two of them. But anyway, coming from way up by the Buffalo side of New York, former co-host, always co-host, and damn sure always a part of this family. But no more the high school kid that graced this screen years ago. Now a college graduate, now a grown man, but always one of my little boys. Dustin Green. Dustin, I haven't told you lately how much I hate the fucking Yankees, man.
Always good to be here, man. And my Yankees are going to win the World Series, so it's a good.
Hey, you just got here.
Easy.
Don't get kicked off the show. Remember, I have buttons here. It says, give me a second. It says remove from stage. I don't want to hit that by accident, Dustin. Don't. Of course, as always, from Chicago, El Padre co-host Alejandro Vargas. ¿Qué pasa, pai?
Good. Experiencing some good weather here. So that's a good thing. No rain, no nothing. It's just humid and hot.
It's been raining here for 2 weeks. We got a break right now, but it just keeps on raining. So I'm just done with the damn rain. Of course, the man who helped me create all of this and helps me run the show, my partner and co-host of In the Batter's Box, Mr. John Doucette. John, season 9, another episode.
Yes, and we've had a busy day, haven't we? But it's always good to be with you.
Yeah, so let's get to it. So listen, I think on this show and other shows, I've done something called Idiot of the Week. So in sports, you're gonna have, for the majority, the guys that understand. For example, that understand their part in baseball. Your job is to work hard, practice, become better, win games, win playoffs, win world championships. And for some of you, you'll become a legend, right? Unfortunately, idiots don't just reside in the streets and in corporate America and in the restaurant. They also reside in baseball fields. And these guys in particular, for some damn reason, I'm trying to get to the article here now, John. It's like I lost it. I'll find it. But Major League Baseball suspends 5 for sports betting. John. So here's where I'm lost. Did they think that they weren't going to get caught, or?
Yes, they didn't think they'd get caught. Yes. And unfortunately, they did. And unfortunately, it's the San Diego Padres who have become, I think, baseball's version of the most inept organization that's apparently out there. Again, look, this is going to become a part of the landscape of all professional sports. Unfortunately, it's just too easy for these guys to place bets on anything, anytime, anywhere. And unfortunately, I think we're just tipping the iceberg here. There's going to be more of this going on, not just in baseball, but in all sports.
Okay, and I have it here. I'm going to turn it to you, Dustin. I'm going to come to you in a second. Everything is taking its sweet A time here. I don't know how much stuff I'm going to have to close around here so that I can get this friggin' site to work. Dustin, so yeah, what's his name, Alejandro? Tucupita
Marcano.
Yeah, Padres improv here. Tucupita Marcano. Athletics right-handed pitcher Michael Kelly received a 1-year suspension, as did minor leaguers Jay Groom, Padres left-handed pitcher, Jose Rodriguez, Phillies infielder, and Andrew Salfrank, D-backs left-handed pitcher. The 5 players were disciplined for unrelated violations of the league's gambling policy following investigations by the MLB's Department of Investigation. You know, like I
Jake
said, Dustin,
Groom.
first
Jake Groom was a part of the Xander Bogaerts deal that the Red Sox eventually,
oh,
and ended up out there as the Red Sox got rid of him once he got to the higher levels of the game. Whether they suspected anything or not when they did it, I guess, could be up for debate. But Jay Groom was a former member of the Red Sox organization and was highly considered a former number one pick, in fact, of that organization, and was highly considered to be somebody who was going to be a future of that organization in terms of pitching. But it never panned out. Injuries certainly curtailed his career, and eventually he ended up in San Diego and was assigned to the Pacific Coast League team in El Paso, Texas. That's where he ended up this year. So it just demonstrates you can do this anywhere, anytime. It doesn't matter where you're located. That's how easy it is for sports betting to be done by any of these players at any time. And I think that's going to be part of the problem for all sports, not just Major League Baseball, but everybody.
you know, Dustin, I told John earlier, we spoke earlier. John and I were privileged, it's an honor and privilege earlier to be part of the media for PWHL Boston, the Professional Women's Hockey League. We had a presser with the general manager and the head coach about the upcoming 2024 draft. Stay tuned to NDSC Sports as we're going to bring you as much of PWHL Boston as we can bring you, as much as John can bring you. And Jesus, John could do this for 3 straight days without sleeping. Dustin, so you're a smart guy, a college graduate. You know, you've seen a little bit of the world, and you probably have run into stupid people. So I told John earlier when we were on the phone, see, here's what I would have done. Okay, so I'm an idiot, and I play baseball, and I'm going to bet, right? So I plan to have a 20-year career. So, Dustin, I'll play this with you. Here's what I'm going to do, Dustin. You're my buddy, and I can't help it. Betting is easy. I want to bet, but I can't get caught because then Major League Baseball I'll get in trouble. So here's what we'll do, Dustin. We're going to be friends for a long time. You're going to bet for me. You're going to place all the bets, and you're going to keep the money. You're going to have the winnings. You're going to have 2 bank accounts. One of them is 20% for you just for doing the deed, and 80% for me. And 20 years from now, when I retire, I'll come to you and say, okay, you can give me all my money now. I mean, you know, there's got to be a way around it, but these guys are idiots, Dustin.
Well, you think that's the way around it, Ralph, but let me tell you, that is not the way around it because we're even seeing it at the collegiate level, right? And we're even seeing it come back to bite guys when they are done after they've already moved on. You know, frankly, some of my own friends have been bitten by this scandal. When we look at the the Iowa State guy or the Iowa U, the Iowa U scandal from this basketball season. You know, several players from not this season but the previous season got busted when they were overseas playing professional ball. That's right, they got busted in Iowa for bets that they made when they were members of the Iowa Hawkeyes. So, really, I don't think. And in one instance, the young man was using his mother's account. I mean, maybe ESPN headlines for it. So, really, I'm not sure that there is a way around it, Ralph. The easiest way around it is don't do it.
Yeah, that is the easiest. Hey, by the way, Alejandro, I'm going to come to you with this, but have you guys noticed? Can you tell, Dustin? I don't have to ask Dustin if he has anything to drink because you can tell that he hasn't had any of those.
The monsters.
Yeah,
Caffeine.
What was that drink you used to drink, Dustin? That drove you crazy?
Oh my God,
Monsters.
Mountain Dew.
Yes, it was Mountain Dew. That's correct.
You don't. Hey, people, you know, thank you for watching the show. You don't understand.
It's a grown-up now.
Yeah,
right. I know. When we watched Dustin roll up at the beginning of the show with a Mountain Dew in his hand, we would be like, "Oh boy, it's going to be a show."
Here it comes.
He would bring it. Anyway, Alejandro, estúpido, cabrones, cabezones. You know, we can come up with all. What I mean, it's just I don't understand, and they didn't bet on any of the games that they played in. If that makes them any smarter.
that is exactly my point. Like, they don't learn. It's like you keep. I mean, Tucupita is from Venezuela. It's Latino. You tend to have a soft heart for Latin players, but at the same time, dude, how come you never learn? This is the
Right.
thing. This is a game that it will expose you, and you will get exposed by doing shit like that. And I don't get it. It's just I trying to understand the situation, but it's just don't make any sense to me.
Louis, place your illegal bet, Louis. Place, not illegal. Your legal bet. Excuse me. I don't know, Louis.
Yeah.
I can't even wish this on a Yankee player either. I can't even wish that.
Yeah, but what I don't get is how one player gets, the first player in 100 years in the game gets banned for life, and one doesn't because, like, isn't Shohei Ohtani kind of like, guilty of the same thing? Even though I went through his interpreter and whatnot, but isn't he just as guilty for this betting problem? And they let him get off scot free. So why should one get more punishment than the other?
Exactly. The commissioner had a couple of quotes on this, John. He said, the strict enforcement of Major League Baseball's rules and policies governing gambling conduct is a critical component of upholding our most important priority, protecting the integrity of our games for the fans. The long-standing prohibition against betting on Major League Baseball games by those in the sport has been a bedrock principle for over a century. He goes on to say, since the Supreme Court decision opened the door to legalize sports betting, goes on what you were saying, John, how easy it is. We have worked with licensed sports betting operators and other third parties to put ourselves in a better position from an integrity perspective through the transparency that a regulated sports betting system can provide. MLB will continue to invest heavily in integrity monitoring, educational programming, and awareness initiatives with the goal of ensuring strict adherence to this fundamental rule of our game. And John, it's always Major League Baseball has never played, around when it comes to betting. Ask Pete Rose, Jesus Lord, this guy's going to pay the price. He's going to pay the price to eternity. But like you said, it goes back to what you said. Sure, Major League Baseball is going to do all it can, but it's so easy to do. And even though you should know better, like you said, John, it's so easy to do.
And you got to put a Major League Baseball franchise in Las Vegas. You have a cable company, ESPN, that runs sport betting promos on your games.
Yeah, that's a good one. Welcome to the Las Vegas A's. Oh, by the way,
Right.
No gambling now, teammate. Team, no gambling in the gambling capital. I'm sure you guys can hold it together, right? I don't know about that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know about that. It's a slippery slope because think about it. I'll close it with this. You would think that most of these bets, 99.9999, nobody's placing them with malintent or anything. You would hope not. I mean, it's just placing a bet to place a bet. But you got to realize that it is against MLB laws. You cannot.
Exactly.
And let's face it, once you place that first one, you're not going to stop.
You're not going to stop. Of course, John. Great point. You might as well bury yourself from that point.
Right.
Barry.
Yeah, dig a grave, Louis. Dig a grave. Dig a grave. That's all you're gonna be doing is digging your grave. Hey, wait a minute, we got another idiot. Who was it? Didn't somebody just get suspended for life?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Was that a baseball player? Somebody just got suspended for life.
Yeah, we were just mentioning him.
Oh crap! Is it? I'll skip.
The minor league players in this
somebody
deal, their suspension is not nearly as significant as those at the major league level.
Oh man, I don't know who. All right. Anyway, gentlemen, it's June.
Yep.
Buyers, sellers, All-Star game, second half of the season, playoff run. But it all starts About what, John? A little bit
August
after
1st.
the end.
The August 1st. So you got about 9 weeks.
You still got 9 weeks. But yet at this time right here, buddy, what is the trade? What is the trade deadline? I forgot to ask that.
July 30th.
July 30th.
No, I think it's
Yes.
August 1st now. I think it's August 1st for the deadline now.
You think they went to August 1st? Okay,
Yeah, I think
Alejandro.
it's August 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alejandro. I was thinking about you on this topic as we look at the MLB trade deadline and what may happen. What's going on in your head?
I mean, we talked about this last week. I mean, it's still confusing because you got teams that kind of you cannot count down, like in terms of like buying and sellers, like the Kansas City Royals. What direction are they heading in 2 months? Like you have teams like Toronto that they started slow, but they they started hitting. And what do we do? Like there's a lot of question marks about who's selling and who's buying. Like Seattle, like what they do. Like Seattle has tons of pitching, but they might miss a bat or something to protect Julio Rodriguez. Like what do we do here? Do we compete? Depending on your division too. Like the AL West is up for grabs. I mean, it is like a time of confusion right now for me because I don't know which directions some of these teams are going to go.
Yeah, we did touch on that last week, and I hope I would like the Yankees to sell, sell, sell the franchise to an English owner that moves them to Nottingham. Hey, by the way, since we talked about, because you're right, we talked about the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I got to go to a topic that I don't. I got to go to a topic I don't want to go to because it involves talking about the freaking Yankees. So we got the MLB roundtable, right? And I'm looking at the standings here. I'm going to let the two Yankee guys have a little airtime here. But holy crap, the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York what the Philadelphia Phillies are doing is freaking like unreal. But Dustin, you first, Dustin. Yankees are 42-19, 8-2 in their last 10, a 5-game winning streak, and a partridge in a pear tree. Man.
Unbelievable. Aaron Boone has done something unbelievable in proving the baseball world wrong. I think every single baseball fan thought that Aaron Boone was on the hottest seat in baseball. And to be honest with you, I did not think that Aaron Boone was going to make it through the season. And Aaron Boone came out from the first day of spring training with his guys, and he came swinging. And he came swinging for a World Series. Now, the interesting thing about this is, and ever since Mariano Rivera has retired, the New York Yankees have not had an identity to close out games. And I don't know, but I'm starting to wonder if the Yankees have found it with Clay Holmes. Now, is he Mariano Rivera? Absolutely not. But is he a closer for the long haul here for the Yankees? We'll have to kind of see, but he's impressed me over the last couple of weeks in particular. But if he can keep closing out games and Aaron Boone can keep his temper in check, I think the New York Yankees are a team to be reckoned with for the remainder of the season and certainly into next season as well.
Amen to that.
Yeah, Louis, and listen, we know we talked about Judge's slow start and how he's playing now, but this team is just like wow on a major role here. I mean, we were at this point we're expecting Baltimore Orioles, wondering how many games they're ahead, and it's the Yankees basically like running away with the American League right now.
Well, I wouldn't say running away. I mean, it's only a 3-game lead. I mean, that can evaporate within the next few days.
Humble.
Yeah,
No,
Louis.
I'm being,
I can't believe Louis said that.
I'm being truthful here. That's what I try to do. So, that league can evaporate within a couple of days. But remember, we're only in, not even at the midway point of the season, and it's gonna be a very close race between the Orioles and the Yankees because the Orioles do not suck anymore like they used to, and they're gonna try and challenge the Yankees all year. But now Judge is back from the injuries he had last year, and our new closer. I'll give you this, I'll give you this. He is no Mario Rivera. I mean, you're never gonna get another Mario Rivera, but in his own right, Dustin, this new closer, he is, I think, becoming an attention grabber, and he is able to close out games, which is something he couldn't do with Chapman, which was forget that guy deserved to get out of there. But I think we found our closer. He's finding a way to close out games and keeping and avoiding those mistakes that was made. So it's no wonder why the Yankees have found the way back. I mean, last year was last year, injuries to Judge and whatnot. That was kind of a mess, but now they've seemed to have cleaned it all up. And with also some right moves at the trade deadline, I see the Yankees, really making a run, maybe catching the division and maybe making a good postseason run. Sorry to disappoint all you Yankee haters out there.
And in the and in the American League, John, not just the Yankees. Let's give props to Cleveland Guardians and somebody. I know you guys explained to me this before, but Jesus Christ, Kansas City Royals. I don't know where. I have no idea where they came from, but what a season for these teams so far, John.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Kansas City Royals, let's face it, you spend a ton of money to make Bobby Witt Jr. your face of the franchise, which was a wise move to make. And then you go ahead and you make some smaller deals for veterans to sprinkle into that clubhouse to give these guys an idea of what it's going to take to be a contender in this league. And so far, so good for them. The Orioles are, I think, still the interesting fragment here because with the decision by John Means to have Tommy John surgery, it potentially does mean that down the road they may have to find another starter just in case to bolster this rotation. That could be an interesting scenario for them to go through because everybody's going to know potentially that they may be interested in trying to get their hands on a minor league system that is just stacked with talent. Makes whatever they decide to do very interesting. I do think the Orioles will now make a move based on Means not being available to them for the rest of the regular season because, again, we're talking about a team that back in February we thought was going to be a World Series contender, and now at the moment they look like nothing more than just a playoff team.
And Alejandro, not just them. What is up with the Philadelphia Phillies, Papi?
Jeez, being Atlanta.
Like the Yankees, they clicking out all cylinders, and when you have offense, they clean up their defense a little bit. Bryce Harper's looking like a Gold Glove first baseman.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have I forgot the name of this guy, Joan, the center fielder. That's really awesome. Brandon Marsh is playing really good. Stott and Alec Bohm are playing good defense. They all hitting well. They missing Trey Turner. I don't know if Trey Turner came back, but once he's back, I mean, this team, I mean, the sky's the limit for them, especially with the Braves and the issues that they've been having. I want to touch something about the Yankees. What surprises me is not Boone being good. It's not Holmes. It is the rotation and the rotation of the Yankees. My God, they doing solid work. And the addition of Juan Soto. Juan Soto changed the whole dynamic of that lineup, and I mean, they are a scary team right now, especially if they get called back and they could do like a 6-man rotation just to easy up some of the burden on the other guys. And Rodon is a guy that surprised me because he was so bad last year, and then all of a sudden he's back to the Rodon that we saw with the White Sox. Marcus Stroman is a guy that's having a solid season too. So they doing some damage in every aspect. defense too. I mean, Volpe is a kid that's a Gold Glove shortstop, and it's for a reason.
I
Yeah,
just think
I
for
mean,
the Atlanta Braves, I think that they've reached the point where they've got some decisions to make too.
Yes,
They're 7, 8 games behind the Phillies in for that division, and you've lost your MVP from last year for the rest of the year.
yes.
The Braves are going to have to decide what kind of a team they're going to become for the rest of the year because if they
Also, let's
continue to
not
fall,
forget,
let's
John.
face it, this could be a team that falls all the way out of potential playoff run here. They do have some, I think, very serious decisions to make here about whether or not they want to try and salvage this season or whether they decide to
Exactly.
eventually give it up and move on to next year.
I heard some rumors about them going after Luis Robert from the White Sox, but I don't know if they have the prospect to pull something like that. Because the good prospect that they had in the past, they already major leaguers.
Right.
And also let's add that the Rileys, the Matt Olsons, they not hitting. You got Osuna doing some damage there. Even the same Acuna wasn't hitting. I think Osuna was carrying that team. Uh, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. Will they throw the towel and start selling pieces? Maybe like Osuna will help another team, and they might get a few prospects and reinforce the farm system that has been weakened.
It's hard to imagine the Braves throwing in the towel, but at the same time, you got to be realistic about what's going on in that division. And right now, for the Braves, it's not good.
No, and the Braves are a team like St. Louis Cardinals. They always going to be in the race, and they could go in a mild rebuild. Like they could go in a 1 year rebuild plan and just trying to get some prospects, and then start adding next year. Acuna hopefully next year will be healthy, and I mean I'm not throwing the towel for the Braves yet, but who knows, man? They got to start hitting, and also Strider. I mean, Strider was a big loss for them. Let's
Yes.
not forget that.
Yes.
yeah.
I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
I just think they don't have enough bullets to put in the gun at the moment.
Exactly.
You know,
Uh,
Justin?
sorry, Ralph. It's a deeper issue than that, though. The Atlanta Braves know and understand that there is no competitive balance in Major League Baseball. And what that means is, I think for a team like the Braves, it's all or nothing for the Atlanta Braves. And at this point, when you've got the Philadelphia Phillies, the Baltimore Orioles, the New York Yankees, the Kansas City Royals, it's nothing. It's nothing for the Atlanta Braves. And I think they are going to just kind of ride along for the rest of the year, and they're going to rebuild that franchise, and they're going to try again next year. I think, based on my knowledge of Major League Baseball, I think this is a 3-year rebuild for for the Braves. I think what happened was they got too confident, and they thought they got complacent. I think they got
but
complacent.
Yeah.
And
doesn't. But remember, they lost the best player and the best pitcher.
Yes.
So
but two,
you can't like it's not
Right.
cooking. It's
Yeah, I'm
not
saying, Dustin, you're talking like it's a funeral. That's easy.
exactly.
Take it
Does feel like
easy. Hey, listen, when you lose your
Best pitcher.
ace, when you lose your ace and your horse, think about it. I mean, that's like the front and the back of a horse. You lose the ass, you got nothing.
look, look. I'm not Stephen A. Smith, but I listen to Stephen A. too much, right? Because what I'll tell you is, it doesn't. It
He's
takes
back. He's back in Mountain Dew.
it takes it takes more than two players to make a baseball team. It takes more than two players to make a baseball team, and it takes more than two players to break a baseball team. Now look,
yes.
I'm not. The Atlanta Braves were broken before this happened.
Oh, I
Okay,
wouldn't say they were broken before it happened. I wouldn't go that far.
I mean,
Dustin, are you
they were.
drinking again?
But the thing, Dustin, is like, yeah, those two players. I mean, I'm pretty sure you a stat savvy, you a sabermetrics savvy person. Uh, these people, they pile up probably 14 wins for them.
Yeah.
So that is something that you have to take into consideration.
I don't
Hey.
disagree. I don't disagree, but that's when a good head of baseball, that's when a good manager, general manager, goes out and does something with
You
the
can
minor league system to restack.
Alex Antopoulos is a genius, man.
Yes, he is.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Hey,
he
by the
got
way,
he got that core for nothing.
Right.
He got that core of players for nothing. Like almost
hey,
Acuna is
help
making
me
like
out
100
with something.
millions.
Help me out with something.
I
Why?
don't disagree.
Why does Dustin have me thinking about Nick Swisher? Did I forget something?
Yeah.
Oh, there was.
You remember that?
No. I don't remember, to tell you the truth. I just remember it was something with Nick Swisher that I don't know.
Oh, he got a fat head of Nick Swisher in the back of that.
He was a big fan of Nick Swisher during his playing
Okay.
days. And, yeah, still at it from there.
Ask Nick Swisher. I don't know what it was. I just remember. No, it's good to have Dustin back because Dustin.
Yes,
brings-
man.
Yes, indeed.
You Dustin comes from deep center field, not 456 feet deep. Dustin comes from one of those 700 footers. He comes from way back.
Polo
in center
grounds.
field.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, baseball is not okay. Alejandro, let me ask you this: who is the LeBron James of baseball right now? Like, who is the active player? Like who is the best active player in baseball right now? Injured or not?
Wow.
I mean, you could argue it could be Judge, it could be Otani, it could be Soto. It depends.
So
Nobody in Atlanta, correct? Nobody.
Well, you could make a case for Acuna.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wait a minute, Dustin. I just thought about something. Guy, my memory's real bad. Isn't Acuna the reigning MVP?
Exactly.
Dustin, what are you talking about? Dustin is the
47.
reigning MVP.
I understand it. But is he the best player, regardless of his hurt or not, and I know he is he the best player in baseball right now? He's the reigning MVP. And what that means is he was the best player last year. If he is active right now,
he's back in Mountain Dew, man. He's back in the
I
Mountain Dew.
need a drink.
The answer might be yes.
But Dustin, listen to me. You take Soto out of the Yankees lineup, you think they would have been in this position?
No, absolutely not.
So there you go. You take Acuna out of the equation.
There it is. You take Acuna out of the Braves, and you take their eights out. What do you got?
Yeah.
Trouble. Trouble.
Damn. It's hard. All right, guys. All right, listen. I don't know. Louis, let me give Louis. Louis, you got any other, before we go to college baseball, Louis, you got anything Major League Baseball front that's not the freaking Yankees?
Yeah. Well, I guess, like I said, they are good, but got to watch out for Philly too. I mean, because I think they're the surprise team of the year so far. 6 games ahead of Atlanta. I didn't see this coming, but after the injuries to the Braves, which is now looking like a train wreck, the Phillies learned to take advantage of it, and look where they're in complete control.
Yeah.
You know which team has surprised me a lot? The Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee Brewers are playing without the A's, and that is huge. I know Freddie Peralta is having a good season, but when you take Corbin Burns out of a rotation, you're gonna get hit, and they hanging in there. I mean, it's a weak division. I mean, nobody has claimed it yet.
Yeah, I was going to say they don't have much competition. They don't have much competition in the Central.
Yeah, but they not only playing the Central, they playing everybody else,
Right.
and they beating everybody else.
Oh, they're playing good baseball. They playing good
They
baseball.
playing excellent baseball, and
Hey,
and
West
also they lost their manager.
Right, they lost their man. Yeah, that's
Council went to the
Yeah.
Cubs, and
yes.
yeah,
So, John, as we close this out, down here in Tennessee, of course, the Volunteers, the number one baseball team and number one overall seed, handling their business. The other team in the neighborhood are the Vanderbilt Commodores. And by the way, John, the Vanderbilt Commodores were not the only team. East Carolina said no, no, no. It ain't. What a weekend of college baseball, John. Take it away.
The best ninth inning you'll ever see took place Saturday when East Carolina and Wake Forest played each other. Wake was down 4-1, top of the ninth inning, scored 5 runs to take a 6-4 lead. East Carolina came up in the bottom of the ninth inning, scored 3 runs to walk them off 7-6, and eliminated them from the tournament.
oof.
But the interesting thing to all of this is, of the 16 super regional teams that have made it, 14 of them are still Power 5 teams. And I mean, the Power Fives eventually did dominate over the weekend, even though teams like Arizona and Vanderbilt and Wake Forest and Oklahoma were eliminated from the equation. The sad part to all of this is two things. A, James Madison takes care of South Carolina on Sunday. By the time South Carolina gets back to their campus, their baseball coach gets fired. And I suspect the reason why he got fired is because they lost to a non-Power 5 in a regional final, and that was it. That regional final loses bracket game, and that was it for him. Coastal Carolina loses to Clemson on Sunday and eliminated them. Coastal Carolina's coach Gary Gilmore, who was retiring after that game was over, just went off afterwards about the NIL and what it's doing to not only college baseball but college sports in general. And it eventually had the president of the NCAA, Charlie Baker, to put out a tweet before the 4 regional games that were played yesterday were done, in which the tweet simply said, NILs are destroying college sports. We need to fix it now. So it appears that the battleground is now being apparently established, and it's going to be established over the NILs between the Power Fives and the non-Power Fives, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes as time moves along. But yeah, there was some great college baseball played over the weekend. UConn, if you look at that roster, the kid who pitched last night for UConn and beating Oklahoma with 7 shutout innings, that kid last year was playing Division II baseball at Endicott College. UConn built that team by taking kids from Division II and Division III, putting it together, and created the team that's now going to Florida State over the weekend to play the Seminoles. That's one way to do this. But the fact that only 2 non-Power Fives made it to the Super Regionals is really not a good thing.
Yeah, you mentioned UConn. When you go to the Greenville region, which had East Carolina, Wake Forest, VCU, and then number 4 Evansville, who kind of like was the team that came along for the ride, and now they find themselves in the Super Regional, John, playing against mighty Tennessee.
Yeah, good luck to them. That's a pitching staff that they're going to have an awful lot of problems with. I mean, that's a loaded pitching staff, a loaded lineup. They're going to Knoxville, no less. But the fact that Evansville made it this far, I think, is a very significant accomplishment, even if the run gets stopped over the weekend, which I expect it will. I think the UConn going to Tallahassee to play Florida State. They'll see Jamie Arnold on Friday night, certainly one of the best freshman pitchers in the country. That's not going to be a good weekend for them either. And so it looks like it's going to be another Power 5 College World Series. More importantly, it looks like it could be an SEC-dominated College World Series, as potentially 4, maybe even 5 of those schools make it.
LSU got eliminated, John.
Yes, LSU got eliminated.
That's shocking, man. Wake Forest and LSU go out.
Wake Forest got eliminated. That's right.
I mean, that tells you, man, the power of the draft. I mean, you take away the horses, like Louder, and you take away the schemes, and you take away the Dylan Cruz, and it's hard to kind of follow that the act that they had last year.
So we've got Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Florida, Texas A&M. Jeez. Then you got the ACC. That matchup with Florida and Clemson, John. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, except for the fact that, you know, John, this is how I was feeling the other day. I was watching these teams win, going. Oh, we lost John. I was going by what John was saying, that John's letting me know something happened here. No power. John has lost power.
Okay.
And longest baseball thing. What in the hell? Oh, I wanted to touch with you guys on this because this is a good topic here on baseball and college baseball we can all get into before we get out of here. The fact that John said, look at how it's dominated by the SEC and then by the ACC, right, Louis? So, Louis, you figure it gets to a point where even as a baseball fan, you know, it's like having the same team win the damn Super Bowl or the World Series over and over and over again. You get tired of that. I know you guys don't get tired of just the Yankees, but I don't want to talk about that right now.
No, we don't.
But, you know, Louis, people might start getting this damn fatigue, SEC, ACC all the time, and I don't know how that's ever going to change.
Well, that's the two best conferences in all of baseball. I mean, the others don't even, stack up. So it's no wonder why you get SEC and ACC, every year. I mean, the South and was that part of that is college baseball country. Out here, forget it. It's just like second. It's like the second or third rate sport. Here in the Northeast, it's almost unheard of. So like Tennessee and Vanderbilt, they dominate. College baseball. Now, college football is another story because Vanderbilt is terrible. But when it comes to college baseball, they're right up there. They're like the kings of the college baseball sports world.
And you know, Dustin, Goliath wins so much, man. But sometimes it's nice to see David win.
Well, I think, you know what it is. It is. I think we might have a David who has a shot in Chapel Hill. I think West Virginia could have a shot in Chapel Hill against North Carolina, and I think that's going to be really, really interesting because I want to go back and I want to correlate this a little bit to something that John was saying. John was talking about the UConn Huskies and how they took underrated Division II, Division III players, and what did they do? They brought them all into one place. The West Virginia Mountaineers, what did they do? They have taken over the last several years some of the most underrated high school prospects who have gotten Major League Baseball looks in some cases, and they brought them all to West Virginia and said, let's play ball, boys. And it's working. And what's interesting about that is, actually, one of my good friends, his younger brother is a reliever out for West Virginia. Grew up about 10 minutes down the road from me. And to watch a kid come from small town New York and potentially play in the College World Series as a sophomore. I mean, Max Gale from West Virginia hasn't got a lot of mountain time, but I don't think that's a kid that you can sleep on. And I think and that may sound like a homer take, but I really don't think it is. When you look at his stats, it's really a limited year for Max, but I think that he's just another contributing factor to those West Virginia Mountaineers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. See, Alejandro, like I said, I'm a Tennessee guy. You think it's going to hurt my feelings to watch my Vols win the national championship? No, I got to enjoy Vanderbilt do it, but it gets to
Shit,
the point where it's like, can anybody else get a
I
chance?
might jump on the bandwagon with you, man. I like the Wolves. I follow them.
Yeah, they look
And it's
good.
so
They
hard
look
to
good.
find consistency in college baseball because you have the draft and you got teams that get decimated by the draft, and just to have success and doing it consistently throughout like a 5 year stretch or something like that. That's hard, man. That is hard.
It's hard. It's hard. Very hard. So, gentlemen, we reached that point, and I go to Mr. Dustin Green first. First of all, Dustin, damn good to see you in front of me here. And like I said, we are so proud of you and what you're doing. And I have a friend of mine, Dustin. He had a stroke. Oh Lord, 30 years ago. So his left hand stays this way. He really can't use it. He has about 30% use of his left leg. And a guy walked up to him, said something about that one day. So you probably can't do anything. My friend told him, he said, buddy, I got a full-time job. I got a second job. And sometimes I work 3 jobs because I like money. And it's like, it's the mindset.
Yeah.
Always. Final thoughts, Dustin. Final thoughts.
You know what? David versus Goliath, and I know Rob, that sounds like a repeated phrase over and over and over again. Sounds like a broken record. But it is. It's David versus Goliath in Major League Baseball. It's David versus Goliath in the NCAA Super Regionals. And really, it's going to be interesting. I think we know that Goliath is going to rise to the top in Major League Baseball. But does David have some energy left in him in the NCAA Super Regional? I think he might, and I think that could be super interesting. And I think, too, I think that this could upset the apple cart in the NCAA. And if you do that, I think the NCAA Division I Executive Council has to take a hard look and say, what do we do? Because if you need to have NIL that bad, you also need to have a competitive balance, or it's going to be your demise. So I think that this super regional could be one step toward that.
Mm.
Alrighty. Louis, final thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with that because you gotta think about it. Sometimes Goliath will, David will, pull up, but you can never underestimate an underdog, because on paper it's like, well, the Steelers will stand a chance against an almighty favorite, but stranger things have happened, in the college sports world and sports in general.
Mm-hmm.
Always gotta watch out for an underdog because you should never underestimate who you're playing against because they can come up and they can whip your ass just like that. So,
That's right, Louis.
Tennessee, maybe the
Alejandro.
favorite,
Well, my final thoughts are: it's good to see Dustin back, man. And I always see his posts, and I always like it or comment or something. I'm so proud of you, kid. And I went to college not long ago, and I know how hard it is, even for a person like me. And you doing this and graduating, I mean, I couldn't be more proud of you, man. And keep pushing, bro. You doing a great job.
Keep pushing. My final thoughts is this. I've said this once or twice before, but I figure with Dustin here and then Louis, I would
Watch
share
out!
it.
He's a Mountain Dew. He's drinking Mountain Dew.
I would share it again. When I was a little boy, my dad taught me a lot of good lessons when I was a little boy. I mean, very little. 3 years old, 4 years old. We were watching a Met game. Dustin, it's black and white TV. A big gigantic box that weighed about 80 pounds. They didn't steal TVs. When I was a kid and they robbed your house, they didn't steal the TV. It was too heavy to pick up. So you didn't have to worry about that. Anyway, we're watching the Met game. We're waiting for the Met game to come on. I was always excited. And my dad turned to me and said, son, I want to teach you a very important lesson in life. It's about baseball. I was like, oh, that's great, Daddy. You know, I think that's what I said. I don't really remember what I said, but I do remember the lesson. He told me, always remember, no matter what happens in your life, trials and tribulations, ups and downs, whatever may happen, and you're going to go through a whole lot in your life. Just remember this, son. You hate the fucking Yankees. That is a golden rule in our home. You hate the Yankees with all your passion for the rest of your life, and you'll do many things that I'll be proud of. But one of those things is I want to see your passion and your hatred for the Yankees to grow leaps and bounds. And like I tell everyone, I'm 61 years old, and I've hated the New York Yankees for 75 years. Thank you for joining us this evening. This is In the Batter's Box. It is the NGSD Sports Weekly Baseball Show. Happy as a lark to see Dustin Green in the house again with us.
Yes.
Hope anytime you want to come back, Dustin, let's go. Don't forget Louis, 4 to 6 p.m. Saturday. Louis, what's the number?
512-543-4662. I'll say it one more time, 512-543-4662. And remember, guys, that's 4 to 6 Eastern time, 3 to 5 in the Central. Some people get that confused.
Eastern.
Live in the
I'll close this out with a little announcement. It's a personal announcement, but my grandson calls me. He's going to be a senior in high school and says he needs a ride on a recruiting trip. Hey, yeah, I would love to do that. Where are we going? He said, we're going to the University of Wisconsin at Oshkosh.
Holy shit, that's far.
Next Thursday, I'll be in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and
Stop in Chicago. Stop in Chicago.
rooting my grandson on. Other than that, I'll be back Thursday as we are back with Attack on the Politicos. Of course, a lot happening. Donald Trump, guilty 34 times over. The Republican Party doing everything they can to defend him. The Democrats still sending the wrong message. If they plan to win an election, you got a lot of work to do. We got that and a whole lot more on NGSCsports.com, where we never stop. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Peace.
All right.